Second half of the NBA season is upon us, and a lot remains to unfold. I'm Madeline Burke for Sports Illustrated, along with Ben Pickman and Michael Pina. And guys, as we're looking at the home stretch of this NBA season, Ben, what is one storyline you're following in the West?
I'm going to pick one that's not the most interesting or controversial, but I think the most important, and that is how does Anthony Davis look if and when he returns to the Lakers lineup, right? If the goal of basketball is to win a championship, this is kind of the key question, right? Anthony Davis missed some time towards the end of the first half of the season with an Achilles injury, and if he isn't 100% or he looks, off by a significant margin, it reopens a lot of other conversations. Ones of, are the Jazz true contenders? What about the Suns? The Clippers, the Blazers, the Nuggets, the whole Western Conference kind of opens up a little bit depending on Anthony Davis's health. This is a top 10 player in the league who's seen some decreases in his per game averages this year, right? He's averaging just around 22 and a half points per game. His rebounding mark is his lowest since his rookie season. So we've seen some decreases on a per game basis. But if he's healthy at the end of the day, all these kind of worries about the Lakers, it's all a moot point. But if he's not, and this is the big question, then I think a lot of doors reopen.
Yeah, AD is super important, Ben. I agree. I'm going with the Warriors and whether or not they'll be patient going forward or whether or not they'll use the Minnesota Timberwolves pick that they have before the trade deadline. I think the Warriors are better than a lot of people expected them to be this season. They have the sixth best defense in the league and a top 10 offense when Steph Curry and Draymond Green share the floor. The question just becomes like, how aggressive are they going to be with that pick from the Timberwolves, which is top three protected, and whether or not they'll hold on to it because anything can happen between now and next year. So the Timberwolves could get healthy and look pretty good next season, and then they'd be stuck with like the 13th or the 14th pick. And Draymond and Clay and Steph would be a year older. So I think like it would be really fascinating if the Golden State Warriors kind of took that pick and shuffled it to a team like, say, the Toronto Raptors that could use a building block, and then they get someone like Pascal Siakam in return. The Warriors, as currently constituted, are not championship contenders, but at the same time, you put them in a playoff series with Steph, and you can't really game plan to stop Steph when he has it going. So they're this perennial wild card, and if you add a piece like Pascal or any other, there's numerous names you could throw into this conversation. They'd be a really frisky team that no one would want to play in the playoffs. So they're the storyline that I'm kind of looking out for as we kind of head into the second half of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, the Warriors have been candid that they are planning to be a bit more aggressive at the trade deadline this year, especially to maximize this window for Steph. Gotta have that frisky team up there. I like that word that you used there, Michael. But, the team that I've got my eye on is the Clippers. I mean, they sit at fourth right now in the Western Conference. They have the second most wins in the NBA, but they have been so inconsistent. I mean, earlier this season, they were, had the best record in the league for some time. They lose some players. They're up and down. They have a franchise worst loss to the Dallas Mavericks. They've blown some big leads to teams that they really shouldn't be blowing leads to, kind of playing down to the level of their competition. And they've really just been all over the board in terms of consistency. And yes, injuries have played a role in that. Paul George has missed 11 games. Kawhi has missed 8. Marcus Morris and Patrick Beverley have missed 10 each. Nicholas Batum has missed 3. Those are big misses. So they got to get some consistency as far as who is on the floor, as far as the rotation, but just as far as what the product that they're putting on the floor is, especially coming off of a disappointing playoff loss that we saw from this team in the bubble last year. They're going to need to find some consistency if they want to stay in the top 4 in the West or in the top 8, really, because they do have a very tough stretch coming at them in the schedule, and they don't want to fall out of that optimal Western Conference positioning.